Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people. I'm not the pig. You got to make a distinction. And the people are going to have to attack the pig. The people are going to have to stand up against the pig. That's what the Panthers are doing.
This is dear brother Fred Hampton, who is making it very clear in bold and unambiguous terms that we will have to attack the pig. Who is the pig, you say? The pig is the opposing force, the enemy, i.e., the government, in so many words, that are used police as a means of attacking and destroying the Black community. So when he's referring to the pig during this time, that was another term that was in reference to the police. But it's not a broad blanket statement on all police. We understand that there are certain police, there are certain individuals in law enforcement who are law-abiding, that are looking to enforce the law to the best of their ability. We also understand that having a police force, having that form of militia, could be potentially beneficial to the extent that these individuals are doing their job, which in essence is to protect the people. It is not to maliciously hunt and take advantage of the Black people simply because they are less protected. And so when Fred Hampton is saying that I'm a revolutionary, that we must attack the pig, he is in speaking into the men and women at that time period that this is about a coalition. This is about us in terms of good versus evil, righteous versus unrighteous, just versus the unjust. So at some point, we as men, being the protectors that we are, being the kings that we are, being the rule makers that we are, we have to draw the line in the sand and we have to protect our own. And so we stand against any unrighteous, unjust law enforcement that is acting in the form of a pig, that is using their authority unscrupulously at our disadvantage. All right. And we understand the origins of police and coming out of the slave patrols, and we can go through a deeper dive on that at a later date. But what we're going to make it and what it must be, it must serve our interests as tax-paying citizens. It must serve our interests as residents in this particular neighborhood, in this community. And we will not stand for any cops that are going to use their force, that are going to use their power in an unjustified way to frame, to make us look as if we are engaging in criminality when in fact you are indeed the criminal. And that leads us to the context of this video. And we're definitely going to be back to discuss Fred Hampton at a later date. But the video, the focus of today is centered around an officer who appears to have been caught on tape planting evidence on a Black man during a DUI stop. So I wanted us to unpack this, take a quick look, and then we'll go from there. Let's look at the video first, and then we'll get a frame of reference on the article as well. Let's see.
He's being stopped by the Tallahassee Police Department on South Monroe.
Hello, sir. I'm Officer Oliver with Tallahassee Police Department.
She'll plant evidence of an empty liquor bottle in Riley's car before arresting him for an alleged DUI. Riley's license is suspended, and officers decide to arrest Riley on a first offense for his suspended license.
Would you be willing to do some voluntary field sobriety exercises?
Not really.
Okay. Here, go ahead and step out of the vehicle for us.
They didn't tell him the consequences of refusing that voluntary test.
Just go ahead and face.
There's a lot going wrong here, you know, with this officer. You need to make sure that you're properly Mirandizing a said person. You need to also let this person know the consequences of their actions, why you're doing what you're doing. And it appears that perhaps the brother in the video, he may or may not be familiar with how the police officer needs to engage with you. I think as a form of education, we definitely have to start hosting more events, more community related events, so people know what to do when you encounter the police. These dynamics, these relationships don't necessarily have to be adversarial, and they also don't have to be to the extent to where a person is using unnecessary language with law enforcement just to show off how smart they are or to make the officer look a certain way. You need to be very careful with that, right? Don't rock the boat. Be respectful at all times. Respect law enforcement, respect what they are doing. But when somebody is intentionally planting evidence on you, that's something else differently entirely. And we got to move differently in that. And those are the type of pigs that we would not stand for.
After detaining Riley, they ask him if he smoked any marijuana.
Mr. Riley, I got a quick question for you. So I smelled marijuana in your vehicle. Did you recently smoke?
No. Once he's arrested for driving with a suspended license, they can search his car. Officer Oliver leaves the car, does a 360, and then goes back in the car, retrieving a sealed liquor bottle and pours it out. That was the sound of the seal on the liquor bottle breaking. Here's another angle. While Officer Muth questions Riley about marijuana again,
Did somebody else smoke in your car earlier?
Oliver tosses the empty bottle into the passenger seat. They don't find any marijuana in the car. Here's Officer Oliver implying to Officer Muth that the empty bottle was likely what was in a cup in Riley's center console.
Cover where like the knee would sit, there's an opening, and he had it like tucked. Okay. And then the whatever he had in his cup also smoked.
Then Officer Muth tells a senior officer that they found open alcohol in the car, in both a bottle and a cup.
Yeah. Okay, nothing in there? Well, okay, so he had a bunch of alcohol stashed in there, but
nothing open or anything.
Yeah, open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, in his like Tervis in the center console, he had a mixed drink, and then under his knee, he had a like little bottle of vodka tucked away.
When officers group to discuss the case, they all ask each other if their body cameras are off.
Body cameras have shown to be quite beneficial for us in terms of the American people, specifically Black people, who have been unnecessary and affected by the lack of body cams. So many of our leaders, whether Medgar Evers, Fred Hampton, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, how officers, the police, have been used as attack dogs on quote unquote Black messiahs or other Black leaders that have come up and rose through the ranks since the beginning of history. So I think that what's important here is just understanding the nature of their dynamic. Look at why they're even asking the questions about whether or not the body cameras are on or off, so that they can navigate and do certain things that they ordinarily wouldn't do. So there can be a certain level of comfort if they were to engage in something that they know that they shouldn't, so that there will be easier cover up. And this goes back to what I always teach you men about military science and what deception is. All right.
Any evidence of that?
Marijuana?
Yeah.
Are you still on?
The video ends at this point. Riley's arrest report states, quote, "A search of Riley's vehicle yielded a small bottle of vodka that was opened in a pocket in the driver's seat cover." Riley's case begins on Friday, April 5th in the Leon County Courthouse in Tallahassee.
All right. So we took a look at that, and let's go over here. So this is an article from, let me make sure you can see this. All right. Let me know in the chat. Let me know if y'all can see that. Okay. So this is an article from our Tallahassee, which is the same source where the video came from. This is the young man. And again, we're starting to see the framing of the narrative for him in this situation, right? A father with his daughter and or granddaughter, or so it seems, and just looking like a person that's want to go home, wants to do the right thing, wants to stay out the way, and so forth. Then we go on to see video shows Tallahassee police officer planting evidence during DUI arrests. On a balmy May night in Tallahassee, what began as a routine traffic stop for Calvin Riley, driving his white Mercedes-Benz on South Monroe, quickly descended into a legal nightmare. Allegations of evidence planting by Tallahassee Police Department have thrown a spotlight on the thin line between law enforcement and law breaking. And again, these individuals that practice law enforcement in this way are the same individuals that Fred Hampton said that we must stand against. All right. The police stop, initiated by a white 26-year-old recruit of the department, would zigzag several potential legal avenues for police to arrest Riley. Ultimately, after planting evidence of an empty liquor bottle in Riley's car, they would arrest him for driving under the influence and driving with a suspended license. Riley says the night nearly ruined his life. All right. Calvin Riley Sr., 56, who goes by Riley, grew up in Tallahassee South City apartment complex. Getting ready to probably get a large payout for this, suing the police department. He spent years with his mother in the Meadows mobile home park in the late 80s. In body-worn camera footage from the traffic stop, Riley wears his work clothes, a barber's button-down with an electric razor on the back. His shirt says Riley in large red embroidered letters. Tallahassee Police Department officer Kirsten Oliver approached behind his vehicle, turned on her lights, and pulled him over. At just 26 years old, Oliver is one of the new recruits to the department under TPD's Chief Lawrence Revel's aggressive recruitment strategy. And so again, notice how they're framing this as a law enforcement issue, that this is not just an isolated event for said person, that this individual is simply doing what they've been taught to do. So this is more of a systemic problem than it is an individual problem with a person making a mistake, because this person is being taught to employ these aggressive retention strategies to lure and frame said person into a crime. And why is that important? We understand that the privatization of prisons has led to there being certain quotas that have to be met in order for people to see a certain rate of return. So when we understand the corporatocracy of America and what capitalism is at its core, when certain individuals are investing in certain industries, i.e. operating in the framework of a stockholder, said person is going to be putting pressure on the others within said entities so that they can see return on their investment. There's too much money that's going into the privatization of prison. There's too much money that's going into the judicial system. There's too much money that is going into said entities. And so now I need a return on my investment. And to get that return on my investment, it may cause or it may require me to do things that I ordinarily wouldn't do from a moralistic standpoint. But these things will work for me because I'm in a certain position of authority. And I am believed to be entrusted with this certain level of responsibility, when in actuality, you are actually moving counterintuitive and counterproductive for the larger society at hand, specifically for the society that inhabits the low, the most unprotected in terms of the Black community. And this is why we must take back our communities. This is why we must govern ourselves. This is why we must operate ourselves with a certain level of decisiveness in how we engage and interact with law enforcement. And I'm glad that this story is coming to the light. Let's keep going. After initially stopping Riley and getting his information, Oliver calls him back up and discusses the particulars with Officer Margaret Muir, who arrived at the scene. Oliver asks Muir to contact Riley under the pretext of verifying his address to check if she thinks he is under the influence of something. I feel like I'm getting some indications. I'm not really sure. I can't really smell anything right now. So these are her words, indicating that her sense of smell was diminished. So from so there's in law, there's something known as like plain view, right? And so under the doctrine of plain view, the idea is that if an officer sees something, right? If an officer sees marijuana, or if they associate a certain smell of something to where it could be indicated that you have something related to a form of criminality due to this smell, then that could be a reasonable basis to make that inference to move forward in some form of arrest potentially. The issue here in this case is that she literally says out of her own mouth that she doesn't smell anything. However, you're allegedly arresting him for this DUI. Then it doesn't make it any better when you are planting the evidence that you're supposedly arresting said person for. So both of these things are making her case look more and more incredulous. Let's keep going. Oliver, in comments captured by her body-worn camera, tells Riley that he smells like marijuana. Oliver, who says he doesn't smoke weed, took offense to Oliver's comments. So then now you have situations where an officer will intentionally say something to try and justify the action that they're doing. Unfortunately for her, this is one of those situations where she's truly revealing that she's fishing for something, right? And so this is where we get into the rationale of police targeting. Okay. And these situations seem to be nationwide, but I've noticed a lot of different cases in the southern states, specifically Florida. All right. And what's great about this is that Riley says that he doesn't smoke marijuana at all. And so we're going to take a look at something else. But see, this becomes one of the benefits of not engaging in certain activity. It's not even in your system. By you not smoking, it's not even in your system, so they can test you for it. You have no history of purchasing illegal drugs or whatever they're alleging that you have. No crack cocaine, no heroin, no marijuana. You see, gentlemen, a lot of times when we go into these parties, when we are out with our friends doing social things, people want to engage in certain activity and they're not thinking about the long-term consequences. I want you to see that at a moment's notice that your life can change. In this situation, the fact that he does not smoke at all, that only strengthens his case and weakens her case. She's fishing. Let's keep going. Officers craft a plan. At various moments in the 44-minute long body camera footage, Officer Oliver seems to go from charge to charge, looking for a way to arrest Riley. Just said this. In Florida, officers have discretion whether to ticket or arrest someone driving with a suspended license for the first offense. If an individual commits a second offense, it is mandatory for the officers to take them into custody and make an arrest. Riley received a suspended license notification just weeks before the stop on March 7th. So now let's go back to shared responsibility and accountability. Riley, it's important for you to make sure that you don't have anything in which you will be getting arrested for that will put you in a position where you will be taken away from your family and then have to be in jail and or prison for whatever said action is. So what's important here in this respect is the level of accountability that Riley has to take, that his license should not have been suspended. And since it was suspended, let's say things happen for whatever the reason may be, you need to do everything within your power to ensure that your license no longer has said suspension attached to it, that you do what you need to do. All right. You need to cover yourself. You need to be making sure and this is what I say all the time, like for people who are going to engage in criminality or illegality, you need to be living your life like a normal person. We're not encouraging that behavior at all, but to be speeding or to draw unnecessary attention to yourself, it just doesn't make sense. These are not individuals who are really thinking through how you need to operate if you're going to engage in that type of conduct. All right. Now, let's keep going. The officers discussed the interaction in Oliver's car before approaching Riley. Again, you testified that they formulated a plan, asked Riley to submit to a voluntary field sobriety test. And if he refused, they would exercise their voluntary discretion to arrest him for a first-time offense of driving with a suspended license. When officers asked Riley to perform a voluntary roadside sobriety test. Riley refused. They didn't tell him the consequences for refusing the then optional tests. So again, you can, and those tests are purely optional, and there can be consequences for not participating in said test, but sometimes they may be worth it because a lot of times those tests are designed for you to fail regardless. When officers asked Riley to perform a voluntary roadside sobriety test, he refused. Despite initial claims that Riley smelled like marijuana, by the time they had placed Riley in the back of Oliver's patrol car, officers began to claim that Riley smelled like alcohol. So they're switching this story time and time again. So they couldn't get you on the marijuana, even though they said that you smelled like it. So then they had to get you on some alcohol. So now they just going back and forth, but then they know that you didn't submit to the sobriety test. So let's keep going. There's nothing we can do for the signal one portion of it because he refused. Oliver asked Mule, asking if they could charge him with a DUI. Mule explains that the field sobriety test was voluntary at that time, so they couldn't charge him for refusing the optional field sobriety test. The two searched Riley's car while he sat in the back of Oliver's squad car. They didn't find any marijuana. And listen, Calvin Riley looks on from a squad car as a sealed liquor bottle in his car was poured on the road. They subsequently cited the liquor bottle was open and charged him with a DUI. There's vodka in here, and let's go to this, right? So a lot of times and we've been young before, and there are young people that listen to the channel. You need to make sure that when it comes to drinking, right, you typically want to have a sober driver. And when it comes to drinking, you do not want to have open containers. Again, when you understand how the enemy is operating, and you understand that the enemy is looking for a method or looking for a reason to arrest you, do not give them the ammunition that they need. Do not have open containers. And of course, in this situation, this was planned. But we've been there. We've been in those situations, whether we're on the passenger side, whether we're the one driving, or whether we chose not to get in the car where the people are drinking open containers all along the way. And some people end up in accidents. Some people end up getting pulled over. Some people end up in DUIs. So many things can happen just by us making poor decisions. So again, this channel is about long-term planning. This channel is about making proper decisions and thinking proactively before consequences happen. All right, slow it down. All right. There's vodka in his seat. Oh, there's vodka in his seat. Vodka was found. Officer Oliver notes to her body-worn camera while they search Riley's car. Officer Mule's body camera shows Oliver holding up a full bottle of cognac. Oliver also points to an insulated stainless steel tumbler style cup in the center console, which she claims smelled like alcohol. Body-worn camera footage doesn't show the officer smelling the cup or removing it from the center console. Riley says the cup contained Arizona green tea, which he says is his drink of choice. Body-worn camera footage shows additional Arizona green tea bottles in his back seat. Oliver tosses the empty liquor bottle in the floorboard of passenger seat after pouring it out. Officer Mule then returned to Officer Oliver's car and returned to questioning Riley. As Riley sat detained in the back of Oliver's car this time, Mueller returned to the subject of marijuana. I mean, they are going back and forth, back and forth. From the moment the body-worn camera showed Officer Oliver pouring out a liquid onto the street outside Riley's Mercedes, Oliver's body camera recorded the sound of the liquor bottle being opened. After Oliver pours out the bottle, she tosses it onto the floorboard of the passenger side of Riley's vehicle. After Oliver poured the liquor out, she asked to move Riley from her patrol car to Mueller's. This change made it possible for Mueller, not Oliver, to be responsible for writing the arrest report. So this is a conspiracy. They have conspired, right? Where two or more parties agree to engage in illicit activity. They have conspired to simply arrest this man, to find some grounds, because they found one thing, then it led to so many other things. Okay, so we see the suspended license, and so now it's going to lead to A, B, C, and B. Again, do not put yourself in a position where you are giving other people ammunition to put you in harm's way. After Oliver poured the liquor out, she asked to move Riley from her patrol car to Mueller's. Okay, I read that. To move Riley to another patrol car, The two call in backup. Sergeant Brian Smith of the Tallahassee Police Department arrives, a stocky white officer, senior in ranking and age to both of them. The police turn off the body cameras. And you know, this is why they're having that conversation. After moving Riley without incident, the three officers huddled to discuss the case. Did y'all search the car? Nothing in there? No? Well, okay, so he had a bunch of alcohol stashed in there, but Muir says nothing open. Smith asks, yeah, open. Muir says in his like Tervis in the center console, he had a mixed drink, and then under his knee, he had like a little bottle of vodka tucked away. After his arrest, Oliver suggests moving Riley's car to the New Life United Methodist Church parking lot, which they were outside of to avoid Riley having to pay to get his car out of a tow lot. How nice. I would just let it get towed because he has done nothing for us to try to, Muir says, trailing off. Riley told our just nasty people, man. Disgusting. Riley told our Tallahassee that between posting his $750 bond, legal fees, and missed work at the barbershop, so apparently he's a barber, he missed a car payment and then another, and he decided to forfeit his car back to the dealership. Yeah, they got a lawsuit on their hand. You still live? Sergeant Smith asked, pointing at Officer Muir's body camera. Oh, you still alive? Sergeant Smith asked, pointing at Officer Muir's body camera. He quickly looks away when he realizes she is. Just 20 seconds later, Muir asks Oliver, are you still on? Oliver shakes her head. The body camera footage ends. The arrest report was written by Muir and signed by Muir Smith and the booking officer. The report reads, a search of Riley's vehicle uncovered a small bottle of vodka, approximately 5 fluid ounces, that was found open in a pocket on the driver's seat cover. I want to talk to my lawyer, Riley says in the video. And absolutely, that's where you definitely want to direct your attention to. And before this, let's take a look at this real quick.
Period of time.
I don't remember.
His left blinker was on, is that correct?
I don't remember.
Which was the registration for his car, correct?
I don't remember.
Because the car had automatic lights.
I don't remember if it had an auto setting.
It was a strong odor.
It wasn't strong, but I could remember smelling it.
Vehicle.
I don't remember if she searched the vehicle.
So you don't remember her searching on the passenger side while you searched on the driver's side?
No, I don't remember that.
You told Officer Muth that the bottle was open?
I don't remember my exact phrasing.
You can just show me
Objection,
where it's
improper
regarding.
impeachment.
Do you not remember?
I don't remember the exact placement.
You told Officer Muth that the bottle was open?
I don't remember my exact phrasing. I don't remember what my thought process was behind the statement. I don't remember the conversation.
So you don't remember discussing indicators impairment that you saw in Mr. Riley?
I don't remember discussing that, no.
Did Officer Muth or Sergeant Smith ever convey to you that their body-worn camera was on after you had turned yours off?
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
Yeah. Have you previously testified that the protocol is to dump out open containers?
I don't remember.
It's a lot of I don't remember. And she thinks that that's going to get her off in this case. Here we go. The public defender representing Riley questioned Officer Oliver in a pretrial hearing held in late February. Oliver claimed she poured the liquid out because of Tallahassee Police Department policy number 42, which she said prohibited impounding liquids as evidence. So again, to a lot of times when people are looking to justify their actions, they'll rely on certain policies, certain regulations. And I mean, this is a tactic that is often employed. And what she doesn't realize is that individually, as she attempts to shift the blame off herself, she is shifting the blame back onto the company, because for the company to, or i.e. in this case, law enforcement, to engage in said activity in this way, it's not going to immediately just absolve you from blame. Now, and we'll have to unpack qualified immunity as well, and the different ways that can often come up related to officers. So we'll have to do another segment on that. But this is often a tactic that is used. And again, this is only misdirection. This is another form of deception. This is another form of the military science at play. This is something that you need to be cognizant of the possibility of what you can experience and encounter. Let's keep going. It doesn't. A review of all Tallahassee Police Department policies found no policy prohibiting the collection of liquids as evidence. Officer Oliver has been deposed twice in the case. In her second disposition, public defenders handed her a copy of TBD policy number 42. However, she was unable to locate any section that prohibited impounding liquids. She stated, I don't remember, at least 16 times during her second deposition. And so now she's trying not to trying not to lie, right? So the frame of reference to rely on is to simply say, I don't remember, right? When in actuality she does, and it only gets more interesting from there. So the judge acknowledges Riley was improperly Mirandized. The public defender's office debated in a series of pretrial motions, and it's great to see public defenders performing well in this case. Like that in and of itself, that speaks volumes. So that part is really great to see, because I believe public defenders are typically underfunded, and leads them not being properly staffed, leads them not being properly compensated, and so many other things. The public defender's office debated in a series of pretrial motions that testimony and body camera evidence of the liquor bottle not be admitted as evidence in trial. The state attorney's office objected. Officer Oliver had no ill intent behind this, had no reason to believe that it would exonerate the defendant, said Assistant State Attorney Emma Hershey. So now they're trying to characterize Officer Oliver as one who had no malintent. And let's see how that plays out. It's not just the dumping out of alcohol. They destroyed the seal. The seal is important, said Public Defender Desiree Goodfellow. Hey, shout out to Public Defender Desiree Goodfellow. They said that the policy is for open containers, but by destroying the seal, they made it inculpatory. They used the fact that the bottle was open as evidence in the report. Officer Oliver said herself on the stand that yes, an open alcohol bottle in the car is pretty big evidence for a DUI. Man, this public defender has a great potential. And she's really amazing right here, and just how she's responding, and again, just doing the thing. So congrats to her. Judge Jason Jones, a former prosecutor, is overseeing the case. So he already has experience in prosecution, already understands in part the corruption, and hopefully he remains, objective and unbiased in these situations. In a recent pretrial motion, Jones ruled to strike body camera evidence that included statements made by Riley before he was Mirandized. Riley was detained in Oliver's patrol car for over 9 minutes before being informed of his Miranda rights while restrained in handcuffs. Jones then honored a motion by the public defender's office to strike evidence of the bottle of cognac. I heard what I thought was a seal being broken, Judge Jones said, and one of the officers testified that she thinks that's what she heard as well. That's going to be up for the jury to decide what they think. And again, a lot of Riley's jury trial begins on Friday, April 5th. So we're going, oh, that's today. That's actually today. Today is April 5th. So yeah, let's keep track of this case. Again, a lot of this, when it comes to the law, is about shifting responsibility. Shifting responsibility from one party to the next. All right. We'll keep track of this story. I wanted to make sure that gentlemen that are listening, that you're understanding decisions, you're understanding the people that are around you, people that may not have your best interests at heart, understanding how the enemy operates, the art of war, and also just preparing yourself to put yourself in the best situation possible in a lot of these circumstances, simply because you never know that this could be you. So seeing this play out in real time and us having these type of conversations allows you to put yourself in their shoes. All right. And go from there. So we'll be back with another.